All right, guys. Our next guest will take on Jon Jones for the light heavyweight title at UFC 247 in Houston. Undefeated in his career, he rides a 12-fight win streak into this title fight. The Devastator himself, Dominick Reyes. Welcome for the first time to Submission Radio. How are you, man?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm doing great.
Well, first off, this is exciting. Like Casper said, first appearance on the show for the first time. And before we get to this fight with Jon Jones, Dom, you've had a pretty great and unbelievable MMA journey. I mean, you debuted professionally just about 5 years ago. But before you wanted to be in MMA, we understand your real dream was to be in the NFL. Now, break it down for us. Break it down for us, because we're here in Australia. We've got a lot of people who listen in Australia, New Zealand, of course, a lot of great fans in America, Canada, and in Europe. But what was the dream team and what was the dream position that you wanted to play when you were a kid and you had this dream of being in the NFL?
So my dream team to play for was the Cowboys because it's my dad's favorite team. Not because it's mine, but because it's my dad's, and we always want to make our parents proud. And dream position's always been safety.
So talk to us about that. Like, what exactly happened with sort of the NFL dream, and how did that sort of, I guess, cut short and then transition over to MMA?
So, I spent my whole life playing American football. I got a full scholarship to play football in New York. I balled out. I started for 4 years. I was an all-time leading tackler in my university. Used to just kill people. That was my favorite thing. I just loved hitting people. And after it was all done, I tried out for the NFL. I went to the NFL Combine, did my thing, put up some pretty good numbers, but apparently wasn't good enough. So I didn't even get a tryout. It was frustrating. Being 6'4". And having all the abilities that I have, like I'm definitely a black belt in football.
Yeah.
Black belt in football. So it's like the one thing I really, really knew like extremely well. But it didn't work out, and I was a little bit frustrated. I was depressed. Your lifelong dream, and they didn't even give me a chance to even like see if I was good enough or not. And it's frustrating. But I had two choices. I could have just, got a job and, worked behind the desk doing IT, or I could have started training MMA, which I did, and I fell in love immediately. Like, my body style is perfectly built for fighting. It's good for football, but it's even better for fighting. And it's way better because if I do well, then I win. If I don't, in football, if I do well or don't do well, we can still. In MMA, it's all up to me, and that's how I like it. I like to be in control of my own destiny. Like, who doesn't want to control their own destiny? And so it didn't work out. Started training MMA, had a lot of fire in my heart, and I fell in love, man. I fell in love.
It's crazy. Like, how hard was it for you to sort of put one dream aside and then basically start another dream almost out of thin air, right? Like, you would have been how old at the time, and you would have just said, all right, like, I need a new dream, and then you kind of created one, and then now you're fighting for the title, right?
Yeah, I was 23
when
that happened. Graduated college, and I didn't even know how to punch properly, and now I'm arguably one of the most devastating strikers in the UFC right now. So, I mean, it's crazy what we're capable of and what we can do if we put our minds to it and truly believe. I mean, there is no limit.
It's funny because even in 2014, when you started MMA, it wasn't as big as it is now. Now it's on ESPN, and we imagine there's a lot of kids in your position now dreaming to fight in the UFC like you once dreamt to play in the NFL. But I mean, how does it compare to you that, your original dreams were being on ESPN and playing football, and now you're going to be on ESPN and you're going to be sort of playing for the championships of championships because you'll be fighting for the title? In a lot of ways, it's similar in a lot of ways.
It's very similar, but it's better. It's way better. It's because it's my show. This is my show now. So the dream has come true. You know, I'm literally every single day is like I'm living a dream. I'm making my dreams happen, and it's cool because it all just came from hard work. All I did was work extremely hard and made no excuses. No, there's never been an excuse. If I don't train, it's on me, not anybody else. Not on my car broke down. Mm-hmm. So there's an amount of accountability that got me to where I am today, and man, I'm on ESPN, man.
Yeah. I imagine there's a lot of sort of vindication here because obviously your road to the title hasn't been the easiest one. You know, your last 4 wins have been over guys like, you know, Jared Cannonier, OSP, Volkan Ozdemir, you know, and of course the former champion himself, Chris Weidman. But apart from fighting super tough guys, you also had to sort of deal with people kind of overlooking you, you know, in the division for a while and you really having to sort of prove yourself. You know, how was that to deal with you sort of climbing the ranks and sort of, it almost felt like you were proving people wrong, you know, every time you fought?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that statement. I mean, it's kind of been like fighting for respect in a sense throughout my career. I mean, nobody's really ever known who I was, even when I got before the UFC, because even my rise in the regional scene was fast. So people who couldn't figure out who I was or anything really about me. So I get in the UFC and it's still the same thing. People are like, I'm not affiliated with any like big gyms. I'm not affiliated with any big names. It's just me, you know? And people are like, who's this guy? And I just go out there and show them who I am, really. It's kind of been like me showing the UFC and the world who I am every fight. I guess that's why we're called mixed martial artists, because, you know, I get to put my art out there on the canvas and the world will make their decision on my style. And so far, so good.
No, absolutely. I'm just wondering, just on Casper's question, you know, you beat a tough guy, and then people go, oh, yeah, Dominick Reyes is all right, but he shouldn't get the title shot. You beat another tough guy, and they go, yeah, he's all right, but this other guy should get a title shot. You give me another tough guy. Was there a part of you where, like, after one of those wins over one of those tough guys, you just wanted to kind of grab people and say, like, hey, I'm here. Like, I'm the best. I'm the best in the division. Why aren't you paying the attention to me? I mean, for a lot of people, they think, all right, after I beat this guy, surely everyone's going to give me the credit I deserve. But it took a while for you to get there.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, I end fights kind of early in the first round, so people don't really get to see a lot of me. And then my Volkan fight wasn't my best performance. It was actually the biggest growing fight I've ever had. I learned the most from that. And I don't know, people are fickle, man. This is 2020 time. Like, people, it's about what have you done for me lately, and it's the most spectacular thing out there right now, you know. And I don't know. I did get frustrated after the Volkan fight, though, when they said I needed to fight Chris. I was like, all right. That's why I posted the thing about on Twitter of, if you guys want me to take Chris's head, then I'll be more than happy. Like, because I was frustrated because I kind of felt like I was next at that point too, but you know, they made me earn it again. So I did what I did, and here I am.
Just sort of on that fight, did you feel like they were trying to set up Chris for the next title shot? Because I think even Jon Jones sort of spoke about it, and those seem to be kind of like the plans. It must have been a weird position for you to be in, like, you know, people getting behind Chris, and then you're like, well, hang on a second, I got my own trajectory here. I'm the one trying to get the title.
Yeah, the whole time. I knew it. I knew it the whole time. I was like, all right, that's cool. Keep underestimating me. All right, that's fine. See what happens to your boy. Watch what happens to your boy, and then talk to me after the fight. That's how I felt about that one.
Do you think did it give you any extra motivation? I mean, Chris Weidman, former champion, big name. There's enough motivation there alone, but the UFC sort of obviously hoping you were going to lose that one so Chris Weidman could fight Jon Jones. Was there a part of you with a bit of extra motivation to go out there and sort of put on an even bigger display, an even bigger statement than normal?
I knew I had to make a big statement. Like, even when I first agreed to the fight, like, I knew it was extremely risky. You know, if I don't win, then, you know, where am I now? You know, my ranking would have dropped significantly. Everything would have gone completely sideways. But I knew the stakes, and I knew what I was in for, and I knew what he brought to the table, and I knew I was better. So I agreed to the fight. And then as they started to hype up, Chris and John, the whole deal, I was like, all right, I see you guys. All right. Watch. It was like, watch this. And then you'll really know the truth. So, I mean, for me, it was just like a little more fire, like a little more, because nobody likes to be disrespected, especially fighters, especially myself. And when you feel like you're kind of being disrespected like that, it adds a little bit more.
I think we're learning that Dominick Reyes, ladies and gentlemen, is a good man. Just a lot of really good responses where I would have just been like, what did they say? I can't believe they said that. You just channeled it to your fights and to great performances. I'm wondering, though, Dominic, at some points, were you frustrated with the UFC? It just didn't feel like the UFC really pushed you like they should have at certain points in your career. Like they'd give guys big pushes, big runs, promo time, ad space. They'd really push certain guys, and you're one of the guys they didn't really push as much. Did that ever frustrate you? What was your relationship like with them at those points?
Actually, so I was aware of the push, like. They tried to push like 3 guys before me, right? They tried to push Tyson, Tyson Pedro. They tried to push Khalil. They tried to push Johnny and others. All those that came before me, before I got in the UFC, they did try to push them, and they all got beat. For me, it was just about winning fights. I knew if I win fights, it wouldn't matter. It's like, I give a shit about your push. If I win, you have no choice. No choice but to give me what I want. And that's really like how MMA works. Well, in my mind, how I feel like it works, it's the ultimate, you're in control of your own destiny. So if I win fights, then I get what I want, regardless of whether they want to give it to me or not. I earned it. It's about earning it, earning everything. And I was cool with flying under the radar. I'm a low key guy as it is, man. Like I'm pretty like hometown, kind of just chilling, not really getting into really much at all. But yeah, I'm low key, so it worked out, and I know what I am as far as a fighter. So I knew it would be inevitable anyway. So just gave me more time to not be famous.
Well, while we're on it, just quickly, what do you make of Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman, and Jacare all sort of attempting to move up to light heavyweight and all failing in their debuts?
It's the grass is greener on the other side until you step on some shit.
I love that saying. I always think it's funny because you've now got that classic saying, and also I always think back to Anthony Smith when obviously him and Thiago Santos were having good runs, and that led to title shots, and a lot of the former champions were like, oh, we're gonna move up, and Anthony Smith's like, it's not that fucking easy. And then as we're seeing, guys like yourself are sort of beating some of these middleweights. Was that a big deal for you? I mean, beating a guy like Chris Weidman. I know this was kind of a fight that you felt like you didn't really need to prove yourself, but in a sense, was that a big scalp, sort of beating a former world champion and sort of adding that guy to your mantle?
Yeah, so I mean, every fight is needed. It's all needed. It's you can't get to where you want to be and who you want to be without going through the fights that you don't think you need. So it was very, very huge, man. I got to beat a former world champion, the guy who beat Anderson Silva, like, so sick. And he's from Long Island, where I went to college. He went to my rival college. So it was perfect. I was like, this dude trying to step with the big boys against a rival competition. Like, come on, man. Couldn't have asked for a better guy.
Well, I was going to say,
I feel like those guys, the other guys that went up, it was just good timing. I think it was really good timing. Like Smith and Thiago. Smith fought some older light heavyweights, and he didn't, like, his first fight at light heavyweight wasn't against like a legit contender. Like Thiago fought Jan, which is a legit contender. and he earned it. After he fought Kevin Holland and those guys at light heavyweight, or no, Eric Anders. So I think it was just a timing thing where they got comfortable at light heavyweight. So like Anders is an 85er, but he fought Thiago at 205. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't really a 205er, but so it got to boost Thiago's confidence. Just like with Smith, he fought Kula, I think, in his debut, and he's aging, man. It is what it is. Father time always wins. Mother, that's how it goes. So I think it was just a little bit of timing, and then like the guys that are coming up now are fighting legit contenders. So you fight a legit light heavyweight, it's a lot different than an aging light heavyweight or, a middleweight that's fighting a light heavyweight for one fight.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are super excited for this Jon Jones fight. Let's get into it because we know this is a man that you've had your eye on for quite some time. Tell us, how much tape have you watched on Jon Jones? We've seen countless men try and countless men fail. What do you think is the key to beating Jon Jones before you step into that cage, UFC 247?
So, yeah, I mean, I've seen all the Jon Jones tape. And he's Jon Jones, man. He's extremely dynamic. He moves very well. He's smart, and he's athletic. I mean, sounds like we're talking about myself, but but that's the key, man. The key is to just be me. For me, it's F what he does, F what he's about. It's just about me. If I don't show up the best version of me, then how am I even going to compete? So for this fight, this camp, I mean, for the last fight, it was the same way too, but it doesn't matter. We know what he does. We know his tell. He has a few tells here and there, but he adapts to every fight just like I do. So go out there, make him a little uncomfortable, make him make quick decisions and beat him. Just beat him. Be the best version of me. A lot of guys get too caught up in what he's going to do. I don't care what he's going to do anymore at all.
I guess what's fascinating is, Jon Jones throughout his career has faced so many different specialists, so many different well-rounded guys. And, obviously those guys haven't been, no one's been able to beat him yet. So people always say, you hear fighters say, like, he's never faced anybody like me. So if you look at yourself, what would you say is sort of one big key thing that, you bring to the table that Jon Jones may have, never experienced so far?
So he's never experienced an athlete of my, caliber. He's never fought an athlete like me. He's fought average athletes and some pretty good athletes. I would say they're pretty good, but not on my level, not on my explosiveness, not bringing the power I bring with the mind that I have attached to it. I could match him mentally. We match physically. He just has a longer reach. The place he beats me right now is experience and reach, and I don't care about experience because I've fought in many, many experienced guys, and that doesn't mean anything. It means zero on fight night. The only thing that matters is what's going on in front of you. So we'll see, man.
There's the young Jon Jones. Then there's the devastating Jon Jones who destroyed all the legends like Lyoto, Rampage, Rashad. And then there's the Jon Jones who people believe are slowing down a little bit. The guy that fought Thiago Santos, for example. I want to get your theory on this. Who is Jon Jones in 2020 when you fight him? Is he still as good as ever?
He's the best version of himself in 2020. I'm fighting the best version of Jon Jones in my mind. I'm not getting watered down or anything. I'm getting the best Jon Jones. In my career, the guys I've fought, I've gotten the best version of those guys. It just wasn't enough for them. And I think it's going to be the same thing.
It's going to be very interesting seeing this fight. I know that you mentioned that you expect there to be an immediate rematch. Is that right? How does that sort of weigh on your mind, expecting that, because Jon Jones has been so dominant, assuming you get the win, that you're basically going to have to beat this guy twice?
Oh, yeah. No, you can't just beat Jon Jones one time. Like, it's Jon Jones. He's been champion since almost like the whole length of the UFC light heavyweight division. He's been champion. He, like, regardless of, however the fight goes down or whatever, I win the fight. He deserves a rematch no matter what.
It's interesting because what Casper mentioned, you said in an interview with MMA Fighting, you said that you're going to grant him a rematch after you beat him, and it's going to be a Cowboy Stadium, which I know you mentioned to us at the start of the interview was your dream to play NFL at Cowboy Stadium. But you also said something in there that made me kind of wonder, and I want to get your take on this. You said it's not, after you beat him once, it's not going to be enough. What did you mean by that? Because that's a very interesting thing that you said there.
Well, it's just not going to be enough. Like people, so you were saying it earlier in my career. I've not got the respect you feel I deserve and things like that. I beat Jon Jones, and all of a sudden, oh, it's a fluke. Yeah, oh no. Just like always, it's a reality. It's just not going to be enough. You can't just beat Jon Jones one time. You have to beat him.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, you're not a trash talker, but Jon Jones, it's like he's not a massive trash talker like a Chael Sonnen, but he's an experienced talker where he's calculated, he's smart. He gets into his opponent's head during fight week. He kind of like lures you into being friends with him, but then he'll throw comments at you, and people kind of get disgruntled by it. Like he wants you to like him so that he can get to you. And you've put out this comment about how you're going to beat him and you're already going to grant him a rematch. In your mind, does that already sort of start that mental warfare? You saying that, hey, like I'm ready for this fight week that's going to be going down with you trying to get into my head?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, his trash talk is brother trash talk. I have brothers. He has brothers. It's when you have a bunch of brothers and you guys are always around and it's constant competition, it's just little jabs. It's little shots, just little shots at their biggest insecurities just to mess with them and get them mad. And then they do something. You're like, Mom, it's the same thing. It's a little kid. It's the same. It's the exact same, like trash talking. It's kind of childish, but it is what it is. Like I just think it's funny, man, because I don't care. I don't care what this guy says to me. I don't care at all what he says to me. Like, bro, you can say whatever you want. Say whatever you want. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna save you. It's not gonna make me not want to knock you out. It's not gonna make me try to knock you out more. Like I'm not dumb. I'm not just gonna run and then catch. Like, come on, man. I thought we were professionals. Let's go.
I know the storyline, or one of the storylines here is, you not yet getting the respect you deserve and people maybe overlooking you. Do you think Jon Jones is overlooking you? Do you think he's giving you the respect that you deserve, based on some of the things that he's said in the past or leading into the build-up of this fight?
I think he is. I think he's treating me with a lot of respect. I think he knows how dangerous I am. I think he knows he's not taking this fight lightly, man. He's not. Even no matter what he says, I'm one of his most dangerous opponents in a while. Thiago was pretty dangerous, and Thiago went out there and fought, but he didn't have nearly the reach that I have. So I think this is going to be very similar to the Gus Jones one.
We're gonna let you go in just a minute, Dominic, and we appreciate your time. But just quickly, before this fight came together with yourself, it looked like Jon Jones was basically trying to fight anybody else. He was on Twitter calling out guys like Anthony Johnson. He was on Twitter talking about fighting Israel Adesanya. Just quickly, what do you make of this whole Israel Adesanya thing that between Jon and Adesanya, and Jon really wanting to fight Israel?
It's Jones reaching for publicity, reaching for relevance. That's all that was. It's just, I want to be cool. That's Jones. Hey guys, I'm cool too. Let me fight Israel. I could beat Israel. I know he's a weight class below me, but I'm cool. He just want to be relevant, man. I don't know.
But before we let you go and obviously get a prediction for your fight, would you give Israel much of a chance against a guy like Jon Jones? Obviously, Jon Jones being a bigger, heavier guy, but Israel being on a massive tear and a champion in his own right.
Hey, Israel's a beast. I mean, he's got a shot against anyone in the world. I mean, I give him a shot, but it won't be for the belt.
Well, I was going to say it may be Dominick Reyes versus Israel Adesanya Casper down the line if everything goes to plan at UFC 247, and then a Cowboy Stadium, of course. But for now, the stage is set. We know you've always imagined being in the NFL when you were younger. Now you're in the UFC. You'll be on ESPN, but instead of throwing a football and playing for a championship, you'll be fighting for one. So tell us, as we wrap up, how do you see it happening against Jon Jones, UFC 247? Is there a thing going on in your mind, a sequence, anything, a prediction that you think is going to go down when you get in the octagon with him?
I'm just going to call it a ESPN instant classic. That's what we're looking at.
Oh, there you go, guys. The instant classic goes down at UFC 247. Watch Dominick Reyes take on Jon Jones for the UFC light heavyweight belt. And of course, follow him on Twitter at Dom Reyes and Instagram at Dom Reyes24. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Dominic, and good luck on the fight.
Thank you, guys. Have a nice day.